Om Shanti. So today's topic, what we are going to discuss is now whether the facts or the current belief system that we have around dinosaurs, whether that is correct on the grounds of scientific principles or not, or there is a scope of improvement. So this video is an English version of the previous video that we have created in Hindi, so that we can reach out to the larger audience. So, in this video, we will be exploring different scientific principles, which are the very basis of this theory. And, we will see how we will test their waters basically. Okay. So, moving on. So, this is our website wherein we upload all of our stuff, the latest research papers. And right now, we are holding a competition wherein it's this is called Rouhani Challenge, wherein we have listed a couple of hypotheses. So one of them is the time is cyclic. So if any user wanted to give it a shot, so basically the task here is you prove that time is not cyclic on the scientific grounds, and you could win the amount of 10,000 rupees. So that is the challenge. And just to give you some directions, you can refer to our some of our research papers. The first mind-boggling extrapolation to cyclic time, it is based on quantum physics, and consciousness and cyclic time, that is the other paper that we have. Okay, moving on. So this is the question for today's discussion, that what are the scientific evidences that you know dinosaurs or Mesozoic era was actually there, right? Because there are so many different thoughts, and we have one franchisee operating in Hollywood, who's constantly investing billions of dollars into it. So what is the truth here, or what is the the common sense says? That's what we are going to explore now. Now, before that, it is imperative that we define the scientific boundaries. What is science? So there are practically two things. If you see, one is the science and another is the religion. Now, what is the difference between them? Because we should not, when we are talking about science, we should only talk about science. We should not get into the zone of religion. So religion is wherein, if a person is saying something, the person is considered to be holy and sacred. So generally, we don't ask questions onto that, even if we don't understand or don't agree rationally, don't understand some of the concepts rationally, we still accept them, right? Our mind still accept that. So that is more of a religion, faith, or spirituality. Whereas on the other hand, the science is basically it's a discussion of logics, evidences, and implied science, implied knowledge, wherein no matter how great the person is, even if the person is saying something, he should bring along some of the derivations and evidences around. So, for example, let's say if I tell you that it is the monkey who started the universe, right? He was sitting somewhere in some black hole, and he just put all the planets and sun in the right place, and then give it a whirlpool shot so that they all are revolving. So let's say this is the hypothesis that I am presenting. So let's say, so tomorrow, even if we say that Einstein has said that, so Einstein also need to come up with the right justifications. So how would we know that this hypothesis that I just presented, is it true or not? So in that case, I need to define all the laws, in which black hole the monkey is sitting, how big is the monkey, what is the gravitation force, where were these, what is the space-time dynamics of these planets that through which he has created the solar system, so on and so forth. So basically, the efficacy of any scientific theory lies on the fact that how many answers it can provide to the existing problems or the questions. So basically, any scientific theory which answers the previous questions and need not be raising the new questions, that is can be considered as effective science. That is the whole idea here. So even while you will participate in the challenge, if you write something like that, the person was Nobel laureate and he has said that the time is not cyclic, so that argument will not hold any water there. You have to provide with your rationalization that how is this possible. So this is what we are also trying to do through this presentation. We are trying to present an unbiased view that how does the science perceives. Okay, so this is the existing theories about the Mesozoic era and the dinosaurs. So practically the whole universe started from Big Bang, and then it took its own time till the time galaxies, planets were made, and once that is there, then started the dinosaur era towards your right. So Paleozoic era, and then Mesozoic era, and then the present. So this is the basis of this whole existence of the dinosaurs. That is what we believe. For the origination of the universe, there are practically theories, four main theories. There are others as well. I have just listed, four, just to avoid any cluttering. So Big Bang theory, steady state model, and Big Bounce theory. So basically, you can divide all these theories into two parts. A few of them, or most of them, you would say that they say that they do not explain the real origination. So for example, even in Big Bang, people don't generally talk what was before Big Bang or how does Big Bang happen. And then there are theories. They talk about the eternity, that this cycle is always continuous. So these are the predominantly two theories. And then when we talk about the dinosaur era, it says that once the life was created, and then the single cell body amoeba got generated or manifested, and then eventually led to the dinosaurs. So this is the existing theories that we have around the dinosaurs era, right? So again, little background to the how Big Bang was discovered. So these sources are being mentioned over here: nature.com, Forbes, and space.com. They are well renowned in the industry, and even in the scientist fraternity. So basically, Edwin Hubble, he has discovered in 1920 that the universe is expanding. Okay, so the natural obvious thought that if today it is continuously expanding, then if we go back in the time, it must be contracting. So in that case, if we go billions of years back, then the universe must be a point of light, or that's what we call the singularity, right? And from there on, we actually started this journey. So this is the basis of the Big Bang. So what are the, like I explained to you, there are if you need to if are you anyone is proposing a theory, then you need to provide the right justifications to it. You need to answer all those questions. Otherwise, the theory that I have presented of monkey one, that could also be true. So if that happens to be the case, then science itself will lose its gravity, right? So what are the different issues? So Big Bang says we came out of nothing. So like I told you, Big Bang does not talk about what was before Big Bang. How did the whole universe happen to concentrate only on that single point? How could you crush the subatomic particles more than to its further to its fundamental mass, right? So that was some of the very basic questions that Big Bang could not answer. On that, if you have read in some of the books, they say that the laws of science were broken at that point of time. In fact, not at that point of time, at almost every other step you see, and we'll talk about it, especially around Big Bang. At every step, it is breaking one or the other laws. So one I just talked about, how does it came? It not talks about that, how does the matter came into the picture? And then, another thing is, that whenever there is any blast, anything such happens, it has one epicenter, and the ripples travels to the atmosphere, and that's what you observe in even in the earthquake as well. So if the earthquake is in, let's say, in Afghanistan, so the epicenter is in Afghanistan, so you might see some of its ripples in India as well. So just for the sake of example, right? So if the universe have started through a big bang, that it cannot be an isotropic and homogeneous, because the isotropic and homogeneous means it has the common physical properties in almost all directions. Now, if it has all started from a bang, started from an explosion, then it cannot have the isotropic characteristic, the universe. That is very, very important question. How could this happen? Again, in the Big Bang explanation, it said that, after a few seconds, the universe become isotropic. But how does it become? That is the $1,000,000 question that nobody answers. Then, the very important, the third bullet I'm referring now, that, if universe is expanding, that, in the previous slide, we saw that if universe is expanding, it is expanding in a more of a linear fashion, right? More of a straight line. We must be traveling away from the other galaxies now. But on the other hand, we know that all the processes that we have on this earth, starting from an atomic level till at the solar system level, everything revolves around the center of axis, right? So how come these two different motions, so universe is expanding in a linear way, and earth or the solar system has got all the orbital motions? Now, how come these two motions are happening simultaneously? Because if that is the case, our electrons should be leaving the nucleus with every minute. But that we know that, because earth is there for so long and that hasn't happened, so that means that is not happening. So either our understanding about the universe expansion is wrong, and that even the Hubble constant, that explains the expansion, that is also not known till date. That has also raised so many questions. And in the fourth one, we are talking about how Big Bang formed. So, we know that in order to concentrate all the matter to a single point, what level of temperature, what level of environmental dynamics are needed? How could the universe is able to generate that? That is the question. So if you see, the very genesis of the Big Bang has got so many questions to answer, and we are not going, there are many more than that. So you see that, the origination of the universe, we ourselves are not clear that how the universe has actually started. There are so many questions which have left unanswered. So any theory basis on this, with of course, will always be under question, that whether what we are saying is actually the truth or not. So this is the conclusion of till now discussion, is that we don't know how the universe has started. So then let's move on to the other part. So in the previous slide, we have talked about there are two key components to justify the existence of dinosaurs. So one is the universe. We talked about, we don't know about the universe. And then the second is the origination of life, right? So from amoeba, the dinosaur came, and and then the human came later. But how does the life formed onto the earth? That is a very important question, because even none of the scientists have been able to answer that. How come a single cell amoeba, we call it life? Because life means consciousness. Even if some of the scientists say that, there is a the moon was there, or the sun was there, the ocean was there, and everything was operating right at that moment, and the life formed by chance. So that still, and how does the amoeba got the consciousness? Where was the consciousness created, or is it eternal? Right. So these are some of the, because single cell amoeba, what it has got? It has got water, ions, and carbon. So which is basically atoms, and we know atoms are inert. So how come any body made up of atoms, which is itself is inert, can be called as life, or can be called as consciousness? So you see, the life itself, how is it is formed, is the second question that we need to answer. So even we don't know that how life has started, how universe has started. So what are we talking about? That how come the concept of dinosaurs come into the picture, right? So now the third aspect, if you see here, and we are not debating or contesting the point that uh, dinosaurs were not there. See, dinosaurs, even whale is the today's dinosaur, right? So we are not contesting that whether the dinosaurs were there or not. I think the question that we are trying to answer, whether the era of the dinosaurs were there or not. That is what we have read, or that is what we have seen in the movies. So that is the $1 million question. So next question is that how old are fossils? Because you see, you know that, whenever we find any fossil for the dinosaur, it dates back to the million and billion years, and people generally refer to that, saying that, it is pure science. If dinosaurs were not there, how come we have found this bones so old, right? So like I said, the bone is of dinosaur. That could be, we are not discussing here today that whether this big animal can stay on the earth or not. That is not the question. The question is, like I said, whether they are that much old or not, right? So you see, how do you calculate the aging of the fossil fuels? The carbon 14 method is basically, there's a sun, with its rays, it creates the carbon 14. Basically, it knocks away the nitrogen, and by forming thereby forming the carbon 14. And then that plants absorb the carbon, and eventually the living creatures, they either eat plants or they either eat animals. So eventually there is an intake of carbon 14 in all the living creatures. So that is the first basis. And when the creature is dead, because the intake is no more, and the body of that creature, it starts disintegrating and eventually radiating the carbon 14 itself. So basically, the how much carbon 14 this particular fossil has radiated, that is the measure of how old this fossil is. That is how the dating, not just carbon 14 dating, there are other dating methods as well. All these dating methods are predominantly operates on similar principle, that once you die, there is no more intake, there is only outlet that happens, and hence it is, you can calculate through that outlet that how old is this, right? So basically, now another question is, if carbon 14 is decaying, at what rate it is decaying, then it is the question. So this is the exponential graph, that it says that probably 5730 years, the carbon 14 loses its half life. So it's an exponential function basis on which the fossils are dated back, right? And this is considered as constant. That, what does that mean? That carbon 14 through an exponential function is constantly being decayed or radiated from the dead creature, right? So now, if this decay is constant, that would mean that if I consider this decay as constant, that would mean that any creature who is dead in Antarctica, or dead in lying in lava volcano, or lying at the seabed, they all will be disintegrating at the same rate. Now that is what we mean if decay is constant. So you see, there is a so much loophole, I would say. There is so much scope of improvement onto the carbon 14 dating method, that how can you assume the decay is constant, right? Because let's talk about this. And because if all the operations on this earth, mother earth, is cyclic in nature, and how can you assume the decay is constant, right? And that's what we have showcased here. The accuracy of the carbon dating is really in question here. So these are some of the top journals, they have time and again they have published the accuracy of the carbon dating is in question. That's what we are displaying here. And like I said, if how can you consider decay constant as constant? Because the sun has the role on the earthquakes, and you see wildfire is cyclical, and even the seismic changes, they are also cyclical, and volcanoes, and rest. So you see, whether everything is cyclical in nature, then your decay constant has to be cyclical in nature, then only it will predict the right age, otherwise it cannot. And that is what we have observed, and through a layman language, without getting into the technicalities, that is what we are trying to describe here. So you see, the overall conclusion that we have achieved, or we have seen, is that we don't know when the universe started, we don't know how the life started, we don't know actually how old are the fossils, because the dating method that you use, and in fact not only carbon dating, if you go to the other dating methods, and if you follow two different dating methods to a one fossil fuel, the difference will be huge, right? So how do you know
which one is correct or any of it is correct, right? So we don't know how old are fossils. And most important thing that I want to bring it to your attention is that, most of the fossils that you see, if you Google it, they are found in towards the North America, right? North America is the place wherein Mayan civilizations used to be there. So, and Mayans, they are one of the most advanced or intelligent civilizations among them. So they knew that how the each star is moving, how the planets are moving. They knew at that point of time, and this is their calendar that we have showcased towards the right. And even some of their sacred holy places, they are aligned to the star positions. Now it is very interesting to see that they knew what is happening in the galaxies, in the universe, but they never mentioned anything about the dinosaurs, or the natural history that we have just talked about. They never talked about this nor in their calendars. So how come a civilization who is so much advanced have never been able to dig anything there, and able to find out any dinosaurs bones there, which later human did? So that itself is a big question, right? So these are some of the conclusions. So basically, the dinosaurs, what we are seeing uh, through this presentation, they might not be there. If we cannot reject it, at least we can say that we don't know whether they were actually there or not. Our theory is not complete in itself. Now the question is, if that is not there, that how come the 80% of the world believes that it is there? Then what is the interest of the people? Why do people create such a big fiction out of that? So you see, this dinosaur game is all commercial in nature. The news medias, different media houses, they have reported several scandals around these dinosaurs and fossils. You can go through them. They are much more than this. And even if you believe that, no, I still don't believe this, you can go and check to this TED talk, wherein these paleontologists have talked about that. How can you, if you find a chicken, how can you make it or turn it into a dinosaur? Because when you get fossils, they don't come in the right shape and order, right? Anything could have happened there, and so much time has passed. So that's what he has showcased, that you will understand what is the accuracy of the paleontology or archaeology. You will understand through this video. So I think I'll take a stop here. So overall, the conclusion that we have presented, that dinosaurs were there or not, it is a great question itself, which we all need to answer. So with that, I'll take a sign off from you. Thank you. Om Shanti.